As a Surge member, you'll unlock access to resources that build confidence, motivation, and mental well-being to empower girls to stay in the game today and pave the way for their future success. Up your game with free professional development and curriculum resources for coaches and athletes. Foster community and connection with VIP access to girls' sporting events, coaching forums, giveaways, and workshops hosted by industry-leading partners. Make waves with exclusive Surge branding packages, designs, and apparel. Recognize and celebrate with special awards like Team of the Season and Athlete of the Season to uplift and honor your female athletes. Unlock exclusive offers, including new product sneak peeks, promos, and member-only Surge stores. Fresh content designed to empower female athletes will be added to the platform every month. So, together, we can help power girls forward.
Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Maria Carlini, Head of Women's Sports at BSN. And on March 20th, during Women's History Month, we launched a new girls' sports program called Surge. Surge stands for Strength, Unity, Resilience, Growth, and Equity. It is our mission to inspire girls to stay in sports, because we all know when girls play youth sports, it sets them on a positive trajectory for future success. Yet today, by age 14, girls are quitting sports at 2 times the rate of boys. But thankfully, we are all doing something about this by being here for this webinar. And we are inspired by the strong engagement on this topic, as in less than 6 weeks since launch, Surge has over 1,200 members and has a reach of over 280,000 athletes across the country. The Surge program equips coaches and athletes with the tools, support, and resources needed to power girls forward and fortify them through life's current and future adversities and challenges, whether they're competing on the field, in the classroom, at work, or even with themselves. So each month we host webinars and drop new coaching curriculum that addresses key challenges that girls face in sports. If you haven't already, be sure to join Surge to get the latest resources and new content. But today we are very excited and fortunate to partner with Nike to highlight this very important topic: how to build body-confident athletes. So I will pass it over to Kelsey Moore, the North America Social and Community Impact Director from Nike, who was a huge help in today's event. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Maria. Hi, everyone. My name is Kelsey Moore. My pronouns are she, her. I'm from the Social and Community Impact team at Nike, and I'm really honored to welcome you all to the Building Body Confident Athletes webinar in partnership with the Surge team. I'd like to introduce this topic first with a brief spoken word video.
Too many girls have walked away from sports they've always loved to play. Chubby nips, sweaty pits, wider hips and hair below. Bodies changing, rearranging. We find reasons not to go to PE lessons and sports days, scared of how our breasts may show. We grow taller yet feel smaller, mocked for how we catch and throw. We don't know how to swim with tampons in, as swimsuits cling tighter to our skin. Hormones racing, thighs start chafing, confidence shrinking, gets girls thinking. Perhaps it's time to pack this in. Young girls in sport need more support to push through puberty. Most reach an age, then disengage. A sight so sad to see. For sport is linked to our self-worth, assurance and esteem. To body positivity and working as a team. We also need more female athletes on our TV screens. The Shelley Ann Fraser Prices, the Sam Kerrs, a Thing Moose, and Emma Raducanu's too. The Venus Williamses, the Tatiana McFaddens, the Laurie Hernandezes, just to name a few. So let's support young girls in sport when going through this change, to give advice on periods so that they seem less strange, To remember that sport coaches play the biggest part of all. Rarely seen, but always there. They will catch us when we fall. To give girls chances like the boys, for this is our space too. Girls need more opportunities to show what we can do. Thank you.
At Nike, our purpose is to move the world forward through the power of sport. We are working hard to expand access to play and sport for everyone by increasing girls' participation and recruiting and training more representative coaches. We are all here today because we know that sport can be a powerful force in a girl's life. Yet, around the world, 45% of teenage girls are dropping out of sport, twice the rate of boys, as Maria mentioned, because of low body confidence. And what we've found is that coaches are uniquely positioned to help positively influence girls' perceptions of their bodies. This is why over 3 years ago, Nike and Dove partnered with the Center for Appearance Research and the Tucker Center for Research on Girls and Women in Sport to create Body Confidence Sport, a first of its kind, scientifically proven set of coaching tools for coaches working with 11 to 17-year-old girls that will help build their body confidence and make them feel like sport is a place where they belong. We launched this work in October of 2023. This project has had a profound effect on me personally and has absolutely transformed my own mindset around body confidence. When I began working on this, I was 5 months postpartum from the birth of my first daughter and had another baby during the time of working on this project. So these last 4 years for me personally have been the most significant changes to my body that I have ever experienced in my life. As the mother of 2 young daughters, I am personally motivated to do everything in my power to ensure that their sport experience is one that helps them reap all of the benefits. I want sport and movement to build their confidence and to help them understand their power and take up space, and to appreciate what their bodies can do and not what they look like. So thank you all so much for being here to learn more about this important topic and this new program to support girls in sport. Over these past few years, I've had the privilege and the pleasure to work alongside, to learn from, and to be inspired by our 2 presenters today. Please welcome Dr. Phillippa Diedrichs from the Center for Appearance Research and Dr. Nicole LaVoi from the Tucker Center for Research on Girls and Women in Sport, who will lead this session today. Doctors, over to you.
Thanks, Kelsey, and hello, everyone. I'm so glad that you're joining us here today. I'm Dr. Nicole LaVoi, joined by my colleague, Dr. Phillippa Diedrichs. And before we dive into the body confidence sport content and tell you all about this really great tool that we've developed, we want to tell you a little bit about us so you know where we're coming from. So as a kid growing up in Minnesota, I was a sporty kid. I played every single sport I could. Sport was part of who I was, what I did, what I wanted to do. And I loved sport. Sport was for me. And it always has been. It not only was then, but it shaped my career trajectory. And I had a lot of body confidence as a young 10-year-old when I had my little tennis racket there. I played tennis so much with that racket, it eventually cracked in half. But that's another story. So when I was a kid in high school and I was a 3-sport athlete, I was playing tennis, basketball, and softball in high school. And when I was playing basketball around 13 or 14 years old, a coach told me that I had Herschel Walker thighs. And for some of you that might remember who Herschel Walker was, he was a very good running back in the NFL with really big thighs. And so as a girl who was, felt good about her body, that comment sort of made me take a step back and be self-conscious. And it made me want to conform my body to more feminine norms where I had lean muscles and feminine muscles, whatever that means. And it really led me to develop more than a decade's worth of eating disorders. And I ended up quitting basketball because I wanted my body to conform to a feminine sport like tennis. And even as I was playing college tennis, that middle picture, I was very successful. Our team won a national championship that year that you see me in the bottom middle there. And I was struggling. But now, as a person, as a scholar in gender, sports psychology, coaching science, I've made it my life's mission to make a difference in the lives of girls and women in sport. I also was a college tennis coach before I turned an academic. So in my prior career, I really became interested in using sport as a tool for empowerment for girls and women. So now, as the director of the Tucker Center for Research on Girls and Women in Sport, it is really my passion and life's mission to remove barriers for girls and women in sport around the world. And I have been so grateful to collaborate on body confident sport with Nike, Dove, and my colleague, Dr. Phillippa Diedrichs, who I'll turn it over to now. So thank you for being here.
Thanks so much, Nicole. Hi, everyone. My name's Phillippa. It's great to be here with you, talking about a project that is also very close to my heart. I'm a professor of psychology at the Centre for Appearance Research, which is based at the University of the West of England here in the UK in Bristol. But I've been researching the topic of body confidence and how we think and feel about our bodies for close to 20 years now. But the story for body confidence starts for me much earlier than that. I grew up in Australia. As you can see from this photo on the left here, I loved swimming. I loved going to the beach. I also played netball. But I wouldn't say that I considered myself to be a sporty person. I did those things more because I liked hanging out with my friends and having a good time. So when I hit my teenage years, that was when I remember becoming a lot more self-conscious about my body, as a lot of my friends did at the time. And growing up in Australia, which is a very kind of outdoors culture, very sport focused, what I kind of observed, not necessarily consciously though, but looking back, was that I rarely saw people with bodies like mine on TV playing sport. I can also remember very specific comments that were made about my body from male classmates, even adult men yelling things out car windows when I was walking along when I was a teenager with my friends. And I very much kind of came to see movement and sport as a way to make myself smaller, or to shrink myself, or to discipline my body, which is something that's really common that we'll talk about today. And I dropped out of playing sport. I stopped playing netball. I stopped swimming, and it's taken me a long time to get back into movement and sport, not until kind of my early to mid 30s, when I started to develop a lot more body confidence and started going to the gym and kind of imagining what movement looks like, what was actually enjoyable to me. Fortunately, since then, I've re-engaged with movement. I do powerlifting and other things like that, and I love the strength that it brings to my body, but also how powerful I feel, and actually the idea of taking up space, the exact opposite of what I thought I had to do when I was younger. But unfortunately, as we're going to cover today in our presentation, this is not the case for many girls around the world. And so what we want to do before we introduce you to body confidence sport is to take you through a brief tour of what the science and the research shows us when it comes to the state of play, when it comes to girls in sport. We're going to talk about body confidence, what it is, and what it means to be body confident. And then we're going to look at how body confidence affects girls' participation in sport and why it's something important that we should look into. We'll introduce you to body confidence sport, what the program is and what the tools are. But really importantly, in addition to leaving you hopefully with an interest and inspiration to go and check out the body confidence sport tools and to use them with the girls in your life, we want to leave you with something really practical that you can do right now in this moment and going forward in your lives to improve your body confidence, but also to shift the environment so that we can create an environment that's more supportive for girls to feel comfortable in their bodies. Before we do that, though, I'm going to guide you through a really practical exercise, which we call the 3-step sense check. And we use this exercise at the start of every body confident athlete session. And what it is, it's an opportunity for us to connect with our bodies, to really ground ourselves, to notice what our bodies are feeling, and then to take a small step to honor our bodies. So wherever you're sitting right now, I'm going to invite you to softly close your eyes, or perhaps you want to just soften your gaze, whatever feels most comfortable for you. I typically like to close my eyes when I do this because it allows me to check in with my body. And then I want you to take 3 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. So we'll take 1 deep breath in and exhale. Another deep breath in and exhale. And a final deep breath in and exhale. Now, keeping your eyes closed, I want you to start from the very top of your head and slowly scan down through your body, checking in with each part of the body and noticing how it feels right now. There's no need for judgment. This is just about observing how your body feels. Slowly moving down from the top of your head, through to your shoulders, down your arms to the tips of your fingers, to your chest, and moving down all the way until you reach your toes. Just noticing and observing what you might be feeling. I want you to notice you might feel pain. You might feel a little bit of discomfort. You might feel like you want to move your body a little bit, or perhaps you feel a little bit cold, or like you need a sip of water. Now that you've finished doing that, I want you to open your eyes again. And I want you to think about what your body needs and then take 1 small step now to meet that need. So it might be that you need to take a stretch, take a sip of water, get a blanket, do whatever you need to do right now to make yourself comfortable. So it's really important that we take moments throughout our day to check in with our bodies like this and to honor what our bodies need. I'm now going to hand over to Nicole, who's going to take you through the state of play when it comes to body confidence in sport.
Thanks, Phillippa. I always enjoy the 3-step sense check, which is a real tongue twister if you try to say it quickly. So it's been mentioned already by Maria and Kelsey, some of the data around girls' sport participation around the globe. We know from the state of play that from decades of research that girls face a system of barriers to sport participation in and through sport that boys do not. And that's at every level. So societally, it's gender bias, stereotypes, sexism, racism, homophobia. At the organizational level, girls get less program offerings in their communities. The spaces are less safe. They might not be culturally relevant to the girls. And at the interpersonal level, they might have families where sport participation is less prevalent or less popular than sport participation for boys. Girls might have to do more household chores or take care of younger siblings. And then at the middle, at the girl level, girls are in this system that impact her choices. And those choices we're going to talk about today related to body confidence, but we also know that the data has shown that girls' sport participation really suffered during the pandemic, and that girls participate in sport less than boys, and girls have not returned to the levels of sport participation that they had enjoyed, even though it's less than boys, post-pandemic. So as mentioned previously, 85% of girls age 11 to 17 are not moving their bodies enough to reap the health, developmental, psychosocial, academic, and even career benefits that we know girls can benefit from when we do sport right. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So teenage girls, as we've said, are dropping out of sport more than boys and at twice the rate. And this is something that we need to stop, because if you're not in sport, you don't get the opportunity to get all the positive benefits that girls can have. And one of those barriers that we know from the research that we've done with Dove and Nike is that low body confidence is the leading barrier to girls' participation in sport. And how do we know this? Well, we're researchers, but we're not just researchers. We like to take the data and translate it into programs like Body Confidence Sport that make a difference. So we talked to 3,500 girls around the globe, ages 9 to 17, in Brazil, Canada, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK, and USA, and they all told us, well, not all of them, but many of them told us that low body confidence was a reason why they did not want to enter sport or stay in sport. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Phillippa, and she's going to define and inform what body confidence is and what it isn't.
Thanks, Nicole. So we think it's really important to just take a moment to pause and define what we mean by body image and body confidence. Over the past decade or so, we've seen a lot more public discourse around the topic of body confidence, particularly on social media. Some of it is great and some of it is a little bit inaccurate. So we want to level set here so we're making sure that we're all talking about the same thing. When we talk about body image as psychologists and experts in the area, what we're talking about is how we think and feel and behave in relation to our bodies. And really importantly, this includes how they look, so their appearance, as well as what they can do, their function. And this includes movement as well. So when we talk about body confidence, it's not necessarily what you hear about on social media. You don't have to love every aspect of your body and how it looks to be body confident. What we mean by body confidence, and what we're really trying to support girls with when it comes to body confidence sport, is a general appreciation, acceptance, and respect of their bodies. And really importantly, we know that when we respect something, we often take good care of it. And so when people have body confidence, they're much more likely to be attuned to what their bodies are feeling and what they need, and actually taking steps to meet those needs. So that could be things like making sure that you get enough rest, moving your body in a way that's pleasurable and comfortable, attending doctor's appointments, for example, eating a nutritious and balanced and tasty diet, for example. Importantly, what we see in the research as well, when you look at people who are body confident or who have positive body image, as we sometimes refer to it, what we also notice is that people with body confidence actively filter out a lot of the external pressures that are out there that pressure us or send us a message that there's a certain way to look, whether that's beauty ideals, stereotypes, or ideals about what athletes should look like. People who have body confidence are able and have the skills to filter out those pressures. And interestingly, people with body confidence also tend to highly value inclusivity and diversity when it comes to appearance. So really celebrating and accepting and valuing the amazing natural diversity of our bodies that we see every day in life. Unfortunately, though, what we know, and researchers in my field have said since the mid-80s, that this is not the norm when it comes to girls and women. It is not the norm for girls and women to feel body confident. And in fact, depending on which studies you look at and how it's measured, we see rates of up to 85% of women and girls who are experiencing low body confidence. So instead of all of these things, they're feeling shame, guilt, embarrassment, and dissatisfaction with their bodies. Now, it's also important to point out here, we know that boys and men are affected by these concerns too, but what we see overwhelmingly in the research is that girls, women, and gender diverse people are disproportionately affected. And why should we care about this? Well, in addition to it being the leading barrier to girls participating in sport, we know from several decades of really robust scientific research that when young people suffer from low body confidence, it affects all key areas of their life. It affects their psychological and physical health. It also affects their participation at school, their aspirations for what they want to do. Even data showing that 8 out of 10 girls will not put their hand up in the classroom or give an opinion because of low body confidence. Although this can feel really depressing, what this really tells us as well is that if we shift body confidence and if we can improve body confidence among young people, not only are we giving them a better chance at staying in sport, but we're also going to positively impact other key areas of their life as well. So I'm going to hand back over to Nicole now, who's going to take a deeper dive into the relationship between body confidence and how it affects girls' participation in sport and movement.
Thanks, Phillippa. So hopefully by now you've been sort of reflecting and thinking about your own sport journey and trajectory, and thinking maybe about how that intersects with body confidence, because we know that body confidence is impacted by gender stereotypes about what a girl's body is supposed to look like and how it's supposed to act. And it can impact her in many ways, including her experiences in sport and the choices she makes in sport. So in my own story, I shared with you that, you know, I ended up choosing to drop out of basketball because of a comment a coach made, and because that was maybe more in my head a masculine type sport, and I wanted to be perceived as normative in terms of my gender as a girl and act like a girl. And so this is really important because it can inhibit the sports girls choose to play or not play, or how she chooses to stay or not stay in sport. We also know that there are a lot of impacts on girls' psychological variables in sport when she conforms to gender stereotypes. And this is really, really important. And we're not going to talk about every single thing in every bubble on this slide, but you can see that there are so many ways that when girls are constantly getting messages from parents, coaches, peers, siblings, the media, and society about how she should look and act, it has many psychological impacts. Not a lot of them are positive, because she's constantly comparing herself to the norm and constantly falling short. And it takes a toll on her competence, her emotional health, her confidence, and her self-perceptions. And in fact, there's a lot of research that right around adolescence, when sport dropout is occurring in large numbers for girls, this is precisely the time where she loses her sense of self and her voice. And so this not only can impact one girl, but it can impact a whole team. And the last kind of category of variables that is related to body confidence sport is that there are another large body of variables that are impacted when girls start conforming to gender stereotypes and feel low body confidence. It can lead to many eating disorders, feeling sexually objectified in their uniforms, feeling self-conscious, feeling like people are looking at their bodies and judging them for how they look. And we just hear from girls all over the globe. And it really, because we like to center the voice of the girls in body confidence sport, the stories and the quotes that we hear from girls are really just sort of heartbreaking. And so we pulled out a few exemplar quotes because we want to bring their voices to life. So this is a quote from Amber in the UK. She says, "I used to love dancing, but I used to compare myself to the other girls, like how long their thighs were and how big mine were compared to them."
Here we've got Sophia from France saying, "In the pool, when I put on my bathing suit, I feel a bit bad because actually I've got stretch marks on top of my thighs and I'm scared people will judge me."
Next, we have Lucia from Mexico, who talks about, something a teacher said and feeling like her body is being looked at. She said the teacher was a bit macho and he told us, well, they are men and they will be looking, even if you put on pants or a sweatshirt.
And I think what you're seeing here, as Nicole and I are reading these were quite universal experiences. We've picked a few selected quotes here from girls in different parts of the world, but these were the really consistent stories we saw across the countries of girls that we spoke to. And interestingly, across all different types of sport and settings as well. So here we've also got Yoko from Japan saying, I was always weighing myself at the end of practice, and it's uncomfortable if I'm heavy.
So you might be thinking, well, what can we do? Well, what we can do about changing the culture of sport is to upskill coaches on how to create a body confident sport climate. So I want you to think about, how would you answer this question? How is coaching girls different than coaching boys? And we have asked thousands of coaches around the world this question. And I've actually been asking coaches this question for over 30 years. And what we know is really interesting. And this is just, again, a snapshot. If you want to dig, if you're a research nerd, you can dig in the academic scholarly piece that we just published on this. But coaches have a lot of perceptions about coaching girls. And some are stereotypical, and I would say negative, and some are positive. So for instance, coaches might say, oh, well, girls are less aggressive. They like sport less. Boys are naturally more physical. Girls cry more. Girls are emotional. And then the positive stereotypes too is like, oh, girls listen and they take direction better and they're more coachable. So the reason why I want to highlight these perceptions is that if coaches think and internalize these stereotypes about girls, negative and positive, it limits and impacts how we actually coach girls. And so body confidence sport sits within the ecosystem of coaching her, which we talk a lot more in depth about gender stereotypes and gender bias and how it impacts girls and how it impacts the behaviors of coaches. Because we know if you think that a girl is less aggressive or inherently less competitive than boys, you might communicate with her differently, motivate her differently, give her less demanding tasks, or maybe not push her as hard because you think she's going to cry or get emotional and that makes you uncomfortable. Or you might give her less important positions. I think back to when I was 10 and I wanted to play Little League baseball, and I showed up and I wanted to be the pitcher, and the guy who was there running it, and he's like, oh, what position do you want to play? And I said, I want to play pitcher. And he said, girls don't pitch, go out into left field. So I did, and that was the last time I ever went to that. So, you know, he probably didn't go into his day saying, I'm going to make every girl on this field quit baseball because I'm going to stick her out in a position that is less important because she has less talent. But that's exactly what happened. So we know it has impact on coaches, and girls, they want their coaches to prioritize body confidence over their performance and ability. They want coaches to create environments where they feel good about their bodies, where they can be proud about what their bodies can do, and they can celebrate that together. But in fact, what we know is that coaches feel really ill-equipped on how to tackle body confidence. And so that's why we are so excited about this tool, because in our opinion, it is really a game changer to change the culture of sport to help girls feel better about their bodies. And so up until now, a tool did not exist. So Phillippa is now going to tell you about our new tool, Body Confidence Sport.
Thanks, Nicole. And I think what really struck me, unlike Nicole, I haven't been researching the world of sport for several decades, but I have been researching body confidence, as I said earlier. But when I started to look at this from an academic perspective, working with Nicole and her team and colleagues at Nike, what was really amazing to me is that it's just so obvious kind of now, once you think about it, this relationship between body confidence and sport. And why would we assume that coaches are going to feel equipped to deal with this? Because perhaps while you've been listening to this yourself, you might have been reflecting on your own experiences growing up. And sure, we all have grown up with these pressures as well. And so it can be really challenging to know what to say or do to change this. And what was really amazing to me is that until this point, until this amazing group of partners came together, there was no proven way for coaches and tools to support them to help their girls feel more body confident. And so that's why we're so excited about Body Confidence Sport, which is a world first evidence-based tool for coaches to support their athletes to be more body confident that is proven to work. So what is Body Confidence Sport? Well, as we've kind of said, there were 4 partners that came together. We saw this gap and we were like, we want to do something about it. So Nicole's team at the Tucker Center, who are the world leading research experts when it comes to coaching girls, who had been working with Nike, the world's biggest sporting brand, united with my team at the Center for Appearance Research, which is the world's largest research center focusing on the psychology of appearance and body confidence, where we've been testing and developing tools to address body confidence for a number of years now. And we've been working for a long time with the Dove Self-Esteem Project, which is the social purpose initiative of the brand Dove and the world's largest provider of self-esteem education in the world. So we came together, 2 mega brands with 2 research centers. But what was really important to us is that we didn't just want to develop this from our point of view of what we thought would work. We, of course, wanted to ground it in the evidence base and the scientific research to give it the best possible chance of success. But we also wanted to make sure we were meeting the needs of girls and coaches. So we worked really closely with girls and coaches from around the world throughout the whole process of developing and testing Body Confidence Sport before it became the version that you can now see online. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about what that involves shortly. But importantly, what we also wanted to make sure is that this program was actually going to be fun, that it was going to be energizing and enjoyable for coaches and girls to do. Because, you know, academics were not necessarily known for creating the kind of most engaging content. But we sure know that Nike and Dove are their amazing campaigns and all of their creative teams and experts. So it was really a joint effort to bring this all together. So what is Body Confidence Sport, you might be wondering? Well, essentially, Body Confidence Sport consists of 2 programs. The first one is Body Confident Athletes. And this is an in-person program for girls that is delivered by their coaches. People like you can deliver body confident athletes to the girls that you work with. And essentially, it is 3 sessions, and we have all the tools necessary for you to feel confident to deliver this with your girls. And each of the 3 sessions covers 3 core topic areas when it comes to body confidence. The first one is body talk, which I'm going to touch on in a little bit more detail shortly. Then we talk about what our bodies experience in sport. So really that sense of getting in touch with our bodies, noticing what they're feeling and what they might be needing. And then importantly, how do we listen to our bodies and honor them when we take part in sport? We also developed body confident coaching because, as Nicole has pointed out already, we saw from the research and also Nicole's work on the ground talking to coaches around the world is that many coaches don't feel confident to address the topic of body confidence. So we wanted to make sure that we gave them this extra support through some engaging online modules, which is body confidence coaching. So this is a web-based course for coaches that's broken down into bite-sized chunks where we introduce what body image is, how to tackle negative body image, and importantly, how to promote body confidence. These 2 tools sit separately, so you don't have to use both of them, although we really encourage coaches to use both of them because by taking part in body confident coaching, you're going to feel even more confident to deliver body confident athletes with your girls. So as we said, girls and coaches were really at the heart of this whole process when we were developing Body Confidence Sport. And we consulted with girls and coaches from 6 countries around the world. So we spoke to them, thousands of them in France, India, Japan, Mexico, the UK, and the US. And we spent time in focus groups and workshops listening to their needs. We explored, well, how does body image show up for them within their sporting settings? What are their preferences? What would they like to receive support from when it comes to body confidence? What types of activities might be enjoyable for them and impactful for them? We then combined all of these insights and preferences that we collected and gathered from girls and coaches around the world with the science that we know. So we combined several decades of world-class research, and then we created a program. And it wasn't enough for us to just create it and put it out there based on, the best of what we thought worked. We actually wanted to test and make sure that this program was having a measurable impact in the way that we hoped before we launched it. So we tested the acceptability, so how much coaches and girls liked or felt engaged with the content and comfortable with it. And then also importantly, we tested what is the impact of taking part in body confidence sport on girls and coaches' attitudes. Before I take you through the results of the research that we found, I want to give you a little bit of a preview to some of the materials that you'll find if you go onto bodyconfidencesport.com. On the website, you will find all the tools you need to be able to deliver this program effectively. So we've got a workbook for your athletes that you can download, as well as session guides that will take you step by step through how to lead your girls through the program. We've also got some great videos which feature our colleague, Dr. Emily Matheson, an expert in body confidence and sport, briefly talking you through what the program is, what materials you'll need, and how to deliver it. These are bite-sized because we know that you're busy people, and these have been created in a way to be accessible and engaging. So what did we find? As I said, we did randomized control trials, which is the gold standard for testing public health and mental health interventions. And we did that to test body confidence coaching and body confident athletes. And what we found from the research, and again, if you want to get into the details, you can read the academic papers which have been published in esteemed peer-reviewed scientific journals. But to save you that, essentially what we found was that body confidence sport was effective in improving and changing girls' attitudes when it comes to their body confidence, but also in relationship to sport. And importantly, we shifted coaches' attitudes as well and disrupted some of those problematic thought patterns that we've all internalized. So what we saw is that after taking part in body confidence sport, girls' body image improved. There was also a reduction in how much they perceived themselves as objects to be looked at by other people. Instead, they were much more likely to see their bodies as powerful instruments and to see themselves as agents of change. We also improved mood more broadly. Girls who took part in body confidence sport had better mood and were generally happier. When we looked at feedback from girls and coaches, this, as I said, was really important to us. And we were delighted to see that girls and coaches found the topics relatable. They found the strategies useful, and importantly, they found it easy and enjoyable to take part in body confidence sport. When it comes to coaches, you might be wondering what was the impact? Well, really importantly, we increased their confidence to address body image with their athletes. So coaches felt more confident after using the tools. Importantly, we also reduced the amount of gender stereotypes among coaches and also fat phobia. So we were really shifting girls and coaches' attitudes in a positive way. Here's a few quotes from girls and coaches that just give you a flavor of some of the feedback. So we heard that the program gave them new information that they hadn't thought of before when it came to body image. One of my favorite quotes here, that the program really lit us up with gratitude. It pulled in such amazing connection for them, the girls, to their bodies. Overall, the message of the program is amazing. Here's a quote from a girl saying, "I liked hearing other girls talk about similar struggles and knowing that I'm not alone." So we've got these really powerful tools that are available to you, and we'd really encourage you to go on to bodyconfidencesport.com, have a look at the tools and use them with your girls, and also provide us with feedback, because we always really want to know how people are finding them. But overwhelmingly, we actually had a team meeting last week. All of the kind of 4 partners, we come together once a month now that the program has been live since October, to hear what the experiences are, because we're always wanting to learn. And Nicole and I have been involved in initiatives like this, or probably though not quite at this scale or this powerful. But I think it's safe to say for both of us, we've never heard for such overwhelmingly positive feedback, not only from coaches and girls, but also organizations, different sporting organizations, from our academic colleagues, and basically different people, even adults who come into contact with this program and think, wow, I wish this had existed when I was younger. So,
Yeah, and
please,
Phillippa, can I just jump in
Nicole?
quick too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to co-sign what Phillippa just said. Is of the thousands of people that we know have taken this so far, and the ones that I've talked to directly, overwhelmingly positive. And one of the things that stands out to me, well, two things stand out to me. One is, I can't believe this didn't exist, and I wish I would have had this when I was an athlete, because it would have helped me with my own body confidence, body image issues. And two, this is free. And we're like, yes, it's free. And so, and it's just available to you. So people are very excited about it. And whoever takes it is sharing it widely. So we're hoping you will do the same.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nicole. You may remember at the start, though, I said, in addition to leaving you with the body confidence sport tools to go and have a look at, we wanted to leave you with something that you can do right now, that you can make a decision that you don't have to rely on anyone else. It's not going to cost you any money, not really take any of your time. That is really going to be powerful in terms of promoting body confidence in yourself and as well as the other people around you. So what I want you to do is take a moment to read these comments on your screen. I'll call out a few of them shortly. And I want you to have a think about when you read these comments. Have you ever made similar comments like this about yourself? I know that I have. And have you ever overheard people making comments like this? And I know that I have for sure. And if you have, I'd love you to just drop it in a note in the chat to let us know whether you have or not. So comments like, I look so fat today, or I wish I had your legs. You look amazing in that uniform. I bet Lucy never worries about her body. She always looks perfect. She'd be so much quicker if she lost weight. I feel so fat today. So what all of these comments and conversations are is what we call body talk. And this is one of the things that we cover in body confidence sport a lot, because we know it's really, really prevalent. So chances are you have heard these comments or types, maybe not word for word, but similar things that have been said. And you're likely to have used them yourself, particularly if you're a woman. And that's because this is incredibly common. And in many cultures, we are actually encouraged as girls and women to use this type of language to talk about ourselves and other people, often in a way to relate to other people, or because we don't have the language and the words to express how we're really feeling. And what body talk is essentially is it's comments and conversations like this that refer to a person's appearance and perpetuate appearance ideals. So it's any type of comment or conversation that perpetuates the idea that there's one way that we should look to be considered beautiful, to be considered sporty, to be considered attractive and successful. What is also really interesting about body talk is sometimes it can be negatively framed. So it may be things that we say about ourselves that put ourselves down, or it may be teasing or comments that are made that are not very pleasant about other people's body image, or sorry, about their bodies. But interestingly, body talk can also be positive, or it may be compliments that we used. For example, one that we hear really commonly is like when you see someone, oh my God, you look amazing. Have you lost weight? Or I wish I looked as good as you in that dress. You're so, your waist looks amazing. Or I look so old today. Your skin always looks amazing. These are compliments and they seemingly are positive, but at the same time, they're still sending this message that I'm noticing your appearance. Your appearance is important. And if you look a certain way, so for example, being thin or looking youthful and not having wrinkles, that is somehow better or more positive. And what these comments and conversations do, they may seem to be benign or quite trivial, but what this does as a whole is keep appearance pressures going. It's sending a message to people, appearance is important, I'm judging you and I'm judging myself about our bodies. And research has shown that we only need to overhear body talk, not even taking part in ourselves, for 2 to 5 minutes, and our body image suffers immediately. We're immediately more dissatisfied with our own bodies. The great thing though about body talk is, as I said before, this is something that we can change. We can all make a decision today to say we're not going to use body talk anymore. And we can also take steps in our own social circles, whether that's at home, in the workplace, or definitely in our coaching spaces when we're working with girls, is to create body talk free zones. One way to do that is to, when you notice body talk, simply don't respond with body talk. So often when someone makes a comment about their appearance, we can try and support them by like also putting down our own appearance or making compliments. So trying to move the conversation away from body talk. And I love Nicole's little strategic wallpaper change there. The other thing that you can do, if you might not feel when you're starting to get familiar with body talk and how to deal with it, is to replace the conversation with something else. So quickly divert the conversation. So if you notice someone engaging body talk, you could say, yeah, actually, there's something else that I really wanted to talk to you about. Can you tell me what happened the other day with this? Or I know that you were going to be doing this, and you can divert the conversation that way. Then as you become,
or you could do the Minnesotan thing, or those of you that are in the Midwest, we just be like, hey, it's just beautiful weather today. We like to talk about the weather. So just divert the just go take a 90-degree turn.
Oh, that makes me laugh, because here in England, everyone likes to talk about the weather as well, but it's how terrible it is. The other thing that you can do though, once you become more confident, or perhaps with people that you feel really comfortable around, is to actually name this as body talk and challenge people not to do it. And you can do this with your players, with your colleagues, your friends, and your family members. You can even use this webinar as an excuse. Say, hey, I saw this webinar the other day. We learned about this thing called body talk, and I've just noticed that we've been doing it now. And actually, I really want to change this, because what I've learned and come to realize is it doesn't make us feel good in general. And I want to do something about this. And as I said before, you can also set up body talk free zones, particularly when it comes to the girls that you work with. You have such an influential role in girls' lives, and they are looking to you to set the tone and set that direction. So I'm going to pass over to Nicole now, who's going to close us out.
Yeah, thanks, Phillippa. And this body talk free zone, you will now notice how prevalent body talk is, maybe to yourself and in your social circles and on your teams if you're tuning in and listening for it. And this is such a really rich opportunity to change the culture immediately. I know it's changed how I talk about my own body, the comments I make to my friends, my colleagues, and people are starting to notice. So for example, a body talk comment would be, oh, I love that jacket you're wearing. It makes you look so thin. That's body talk. If you just say, hey, I love that jacket, that's not body talk. So it's not that we want to eliminate anything to do with the body, but we don't want to reinforce appearance ideals. So you'll get more comfortable with it as you practice and as you go through the Body Confidence Sport program. But we are so grateful for your time today. And really what we want to do is have coaches. We want you to be her reason to stay in sport. So thank you so much. And go out and take the tool, and we'll wait for your feedback.
Thanks, everyone.
Well, everyone, we've reached the end of our Building Body Confident Athletes webinar, and I want to extend a huge thank you to our partners at Nike for their incredible insights and collaboration, as well as Dr. Nicole LaVoi and Dr. Phillippa Diedrichs for leading the discussion. It's been an inspiring day. I've definitely went to breathe those 3 seconds. The tips that you had were just amazing, and I hope you're leaving with the strategies to empower your female athletes. Remember, this is just the start of the conversation. You can continue the journey of building confident, resilient athletes by signing up for the Surge program to unlock access to more resources. And join us for our next webinar on May 22nd, Inspire Future Female Leaders Through Sports, co-hosted with the amazing team at Women's Leaders in Sports. So we'll be sharing how you can inspire future female leaders through sports. And finally, a big congratulations to Chris Masteritas from Nice High School in Florida. You're the lucky winner of our Surge t-shirt giveaway. So we'll be in touch via email to get you your Surge t-shirts. So thank you all for joining, and let's power girls forward together.